Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Teddy, aka Teddy Bear XD. Sorry, it's been quite a while since I've uploaded. I've been pretty busy with work and other things like that, but I was able to get in a mirror cup. Just finished that up yesterday. So this was for Ghost Stadium. They do a lot of PvP type stuff and a lot of remote tournaments. So I joined a lobby several months back, and this is our first cup. So this is a mirror cup, and we're doing season 1 regionals. So we'll go ahead and jump right into it. So this was my first match here versus Kevzo8. And you can see my team at the top right there: Medicham, Sableye, Melmetal, Azumarill, Whiscash, and Skarmory. And Kevzo brings Skarmory, Altaria, Medicham, Haunter, Swampert, and Azumarill. So looking at his team, Swampert's going to be an issue for me because I don't have a grass type, which kind of means Azumarill is going to be an issue for me as well. So we'll see what I bring. We'll go ahead and jump into the first match now. So I'm going to go ahead and lead with Azumarill, and he also leads with Azumarill. So on my Azumarill, I'm running Hydro Pump and Ice Beam, and you really want Play Rough for this matchup. So we'll see if he has that or not. Since I don't have Play Rough, I'm going to try to go for a Hydro Pump. So he's throwing a charge move, and it's Play Rough, so that means I lose this matchup. It's not by a ton, but Hydro Pump is not going to do that much damage here. So I throw that. It is better than Ice Beam in this situation, but it also costs more energy and does less damage than Play Rough, so. He gets off another Play Rough. I do not decide to block it. I throw an Ice Beam, I guess, to try to shield bait. It really wasn't that great of an option, but I switch into Melmetal here. And he brings in Medicham, which is really bad for me. I wait a little too long on that charge move. It probably doesn't matter a whole lot, but I go ahead and block the Power Up Bunch and try to shield bait with a Rock Slide here. And he does block, so that's good for me. I go right into a Thunderbolt. And it does hit him, does pretty good amount of damage. He's gonna farm up here though. And my best option is to bring in probably a Azumarill, although it doesn't have a whole lot of health. And since it doesn't have much health, I bring in Skarmory. Honestly, I probably should have brought a Azumarill in, but we'll see how this goes. So I'm basically needing to farm him down right now. His Power Up Punches aren't doing a ton of damage, so I decide not to block that one. It brings in a Azumarill, and I have a Sky Attack ready. If he does not decide to block, it would KO, so he does block, and he switches into Altaria. And I throw a Sky Attack. I probably should have just switched and thrown an Ice Beam. since he doesn't have any shields. The sky attack would KO me, so I go ahead and shield. Try to farm up a little bit. And I waited too long. So that really hurts. That was a big mistake on my part. If I would have thrown that ice beam, I would have had possibly a chance to beat him. It wouldn't have been a big chance, but I made a few mistakes in throwing the sky attack and waiting too long in the ice beam. So he takes the first game off me. So I'm not worried about the Altaria. I am worried about the Azumarill, and I'm still worried about the Swampert in case he tries to bring it in. But I don't really have a counter for either of those besides Melmetal for Azumarill, and it's not even that hard of a counter. So looks like I decide to lead with Melmetal to try to catch the Azumarill in the lead. That's really what I need, is to catch the Azumarill, because I have positive matchups elsewhere. But we'll see what he decides to bring, if he's going to run the same team or if he's going to try to switch it up. So he's taken a while here. I'm assuming that means he's going to switch something. Though usually people that win the match don't switch. I don't actually remember what he does here, so we'll have to see. Insert Jeopardy music here. This guy probably took the longest out of everyone that I've faced. Doesn't really work great for recording matches, but we're into it right now. So we go ahead and lead Melmetal, and he leads Swampert. That's really bad for me. Really bad. He called me on that. So I decided to bring Sableye. So I switch into Azumarill. This is a fairly winning matchup, but he does a nice switch into Azumarill, and I am in trouble. This is kind of what I was afraid of, him bringing both Azumarill and Swampert. That kills. Plus he's got Play Rough, so he wins the mirror matchup of Azumarills. But I am gonna throw the Hydro Pump here. Does an okay amount of damage. So I'm really trying to get to another one here. I decided to go ahead and block. So I try to fake the Hydro Pump here. Let's see if he blocks it. He does not. Wow. Restraint. So I get the second Ice Beam off. Let's see if he decides to block this one. He does. So we've each burned a shield at this point. I decide not to block, just to take it. He does get to farm me up a little bit, unfortunately. So I'm pretty sure if I switch into Melmetal, he's going to switch into Swampert soon. He does get a charge move off. I'm pretty sure he's got Ice Beam and Play Rough, so I decide not to block. And it doesn't do too much damage there. So he's gonna bring in Swampert. I tried to switch. Even if I would have got that switch off, it wouldn't have made a whole lot of difference. But it is just Muddy Water. He doesn't have Earthquake on it. And I switch into Sableye. I do decide to block the Hydro Cannon. That would have done a lot of damage. And he does have Altaria. Then I go for the Power Gem here. It does a lot of damage, but I do not have any shields left for it. And Sky Attack does a lot of damage. And unfortunately he's able to farm me up right there. That's killer. I was trying to feint him down because I knew the only way I could win was to try to get like 2 Rock Slides or something off on the Swampert, but he had my number. The Swampert and Azumarill both killed. They destroyed me. So, well played to him. It was not close. He beat me both games pretty easily. So after a pretty disappointing first match, we're gonna go ahead and head into the second one. So my second opponent here is the Phoenix, and he's bringing Venusaur, Swampert, Skarmory, Medicham, Sableye, and Melmetal on his team. So the only counter to Skarmory here is going to be Melmetal, and his Sableye is really low CP, so he probably won't bring that, but we'll go ahead and jump into it right now and see what he brings. So I'm deciding what my team is going to be here. And looking at his team, he does have a Swampert as well, and that's one thing I am a little worried about, because I do not have a Grass type, so I feel like if my opponent's got a Swampert on their team, they should be using it. Now, whether or not they will is just up to them. It's how comfortable they feel and how well they think it'll do against my team. So that's most of the thing I'm worried about. So I'm just gonna run the big 3 of Skarmory, Medicham, and Azumarill here. Starting out with Skarmory, since there's only one counter on his team, which would be Melmetal. And I'm okay with switching into Medicham. So I lead Skarmory, and he leads Venusaur. That's a spectacular start for me. So I'm going to go ahead and start farming it down. I'm expecting him to switch here, and he does, into Swampert. So I decided just to throw the Sky Attack. I probably should have just switched into Medicham. Well, actually either one would have been fine. But I throw the Sky Attack first, and I do actually end up getting a good switch into Hydro Cannon here, which won't do much damage. So I'm kind of free to try to feint it down here. Either way, if this is an Earthquake, it'll do a lot of damage, but it's okay. And it's only a Hydro Cannon, so even better for me. So I'm ahead by quite a bit here. I'm expecting him to bring in Venusaur, so I'm going to go ahead and throw an Ice Beam right away, and it is Venusaur. He'll probably block this, because it'll do a lot of damage. He does. And he tries, okay, he counts well, and goes ahead and throws a Frenzy Plant. I decided not to block it just because Skarmory can feint it down. No problem. Don't even need to shield. So I don't bother shielding here. If it's a Frenzy Plant, it's fine. If it's Sludge Bomb, even better, because the damage per energy is even lower with that one. He brings in Sableye. Medicham into this would be a problem, so I'm gonna try to feint this down with Sky Attacks here with Skarmory. So I blocked the first one. I've got 2 shields, so I'm gonna go ahead and use them here. I am able to feint that down with just fast moves, and I throw the Sky Attack, of which he will shield. And I still have 1 shield left, so I'm gonna be able to block whatever he's gonna throw at me. Because I know I can feint it down with fast moves. So pretty convincing first game. A lot of my advantage was gained on the lead. So I'm expecting, since he lost the first match, he's gonna switch it up somehow, whether that's switching the order or bringing in something else to try to counter what I have. So I'm kind of contemplating what I should bring this time and what order I should bring it in. I do decide to lead with Medicham because I think that he'll bring in Melmetal to try to counter my Skarmory as a lead. Which I think is fairly common if you lose a game, to try to switch up your lead to try to counter their lead. So plus Metacham's a good lead anyway in regionals. It's got a lot of really favorable matchups, and it also beats Swampert, so that's one thing I was just making sure of as well. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into it, and he leads Sableye, so not good for me. I'm gonna switch into a Azumarill here, which is a good matchup for me. He farms up a little and switches. I do have energy advantage here, so I get to Ice Beam pretty fast. He's only got 2 Vine Whips off at this point, I think. So he will get to a Frenzy Plant before I get to my second Ice Beam here. And since I have an Ice Beam ready, I go ahead and shield this. And I throw the Ice Beam. I'm expecting a second shield, but we'll see what he does. He does not shield. And he does get it off. I decide to let Azumarill go. And I bring in Medicham to get a little bit of energy. I know he's going to bring in Sableye here, so I'm pretty ready to switch into Skarmory right away. But he does get off the charge move fast. I decide to let it through. It's only a Shadow Sneak. It doesn't do a ton of damage, which is good for me. And he brings in Melmetal. That's a problem. I'm gonna let this go. And it's only a Rock Slide, so it doesn't do too much damage. I go ahead and get the Sky Attack off here. He does block it. I'm pretty sure that was a mistake because it won't do much damage. It does an okay amount of damage. He does throw the charge move here, and I'm gonna let this go because I know I can farm this thing down with Medicham. And I definitely need to block this no matter what it is. It's possible I could have survived that, but it would have been really close. So I've got a lot of energy farmed up here. I know Sableye's coming in, so I throw Power Up Punch. It's not going to do a whole lot of damage, but it'll get me more damage on my Ice Punch, which I am able to get to before he gets to another charge move. That one was probably really close. He probably had a charge move ready right when I got mine off. So that was a really close second match. I could have gone either way. But we do end up taking second round there. So I'm now 1-1. And we're going to go ahead and jump into the third match here. I'm versus Kruki 319, bringing in Sableye, Skarmory, Bastiodon, Venusaur, Azumarill, and Medicham. So looking at his lineup, Azumarill is really good to bring into his lineup against obviously everything but Venusaur. And if I'm going to bring Azumarill, I'm probably bringing Skarmory. And we'll see what I decide to do with my third. I don't remember off the top of my head, but we'll go ahead and jump into the first match. So I lead Skarmory and he leads Sableye. It's an okay matchup here. It's not great, but it's not terrible. So I stick it out. He uses Foul Play, which does a pretty good amount of damage. And I get off a Sky Attack. Actually, I did play another round in between this, but I'm missing the footage, and I did win it. So I'm actually 2-1 at this point. And he does decide to block my Sky Attack there. Does get off another charge move. I have a Sky Attack ready, so I block that. And this will KO if it hits, so we're in an okay position here. And he does decide to block, so that's both of his shields already. And he does get to farm me down though, so that's not ideal. But we have Azumarill coming in. I'm expecting him to throw the charge move right away. And he does not. He decides to switch. That's a really good patient move there. I really probably should have switched earlier here into Melmetal. But I decided to wait it out. And I switch at the right time here to tank this Frenzy Plant, which won't do much to Melmetal. Even though it's resisted, it actually still does a decent amount. And I do get to a Rock Slide before he's able to get to another Frenzy Plant. So I'm able to save the shield there. And he brings in the Sableye here. I do decide to block at the last minute. And I'm barely able to finish it off with just fast moves. He probably had something ready right there. And it's a Azumarill, so I can throw the Thunderbolt here. He doesn't have any shields. Does quite a bit of damage. And I make a pretty big mistake here. I got greedy, tried to go for the Thunderbolt, and then realized I couldn't get there, and I tried to go for a Rock Slide, and I didn't get it off. If I had gotten the Rock Slide off, this would have been easy win for me. Fortunately, he does not have Play Rough. So I get to a Hydro Pump here. Hopefully this is enough to finish him off. And it's barely not, and he gets to an Ice Beam. Thankfully, Ice Beam does not do that much. If this had been a Hydro Pump, that may have KO'd me. It would have been close. But yeah, that one was very close. That could have easily gone bad for me if he had been able to get a charge move off on Sableye. I could have lost that. Though if I hadn't made the mistake on Melmetal, I could have won that easier, but it happens. So we're gonna jump into the second match here. I lead Skarmory, and he leads Sableye again. So this is a fine matchup as before. And he does get off the foul play first, which is fine. I don't block it again. And I throw the Sky Attack. And he does block it again. So we're basically doing the exact same thing as last game. I blocked the second one here. And I throw the Sky Attack. See if he blocks this time or not. He does decide to block again. Hit a little bit of lag there. I'm not sure it mattered, but that's okay. So I am up one shield. And he does throw a charge move here. Debatable whether I should have blocked this or not. It does quite a bit of damage. But I'm hoping just to finish it off with fast moves, and I am able to do that. And he brings in a Azumarill, so two pretty bad matchups for me there. Here I decide to go Ice Punch to try to finish Venusaur off quick. I definitely need to block this because this would do probably almost all of my HP. And here, I definitely should not have done Ice Punch again. I should have just gone for a Power Up Punch. I was probably able to finish him off with just fast moves and Power Up Punch. So I probably wasted a little bit of energy there, plus I'm not going to get the Power Up for all my counters and Power Up Punches here. So I throw the Power Up Punch, does next to nothing. I am able to get to another one. Again, does not do too much. I throw the Power Gem, and it gets fairly close to finishing it off. It would have been close if I had been able to finish the Venusaur off with power-up punch and counters. If I might have been able to get off another power-up punch versus Azumarill, and my counters would have been doing more damage. So I don't know how that one would have gone specifically for that second game had I made that decision, but he does end up beating me. It was pretty close. So we're going to go to a third and final round in this best of 3. See what changes we decide to make going into the third match. So really close matches so far. So I'm sitting here thinking what to lead really is what I'm looking for. So obviously the thing I would want in this situation would be Skarmory into his Venusaur. That's the main thing I would want. But I'm also worried about the Sableye. So I decided that Azumarill here is probably the best choice. And I'm thinking about going with Melmetal over Medicham here. Because that Azumarill is really hurting. And I do decide to forego the Medicham. I lead Azumarill. He leads Venusaur, so not good for me in a starting matchup here. I immediately switch into Skarmory, get off a couple fast moves before he brings in Azumarill. Get off a Sky Attack, it'll do an okay amount of damage. He throws a charge move. I do decide to block it. And I'm mainly worried about Azumarill into Venusaur, because that's a really bad matchup. And I want to try to keep this Skarmory alive for it. He does decide to block there. If there was another one, I'm not going to block this one. It won't do a ton of damage. And I get to a Sky Attack. Let's see if he blocks this. He does not. So he goes ahead and brings in Skarmory. And I bring in Melmetal to counter. He's going to bring Venusaur back in, which this is actually a fine matchup for me. Frenzy Plant will do roughly half, but I don't want to block it because I want to save shields for Azumarill. I get the Rock Slide off. Does a pretty good amount of damage as well. And I get to a Rock Slide before he's able to get to the Frenzy Plant. And he does block it. And I do decide to block this. Since he used his shield, I'm going to use mine and get to a Rock Slide before he's able to get to a Frenzy Plant. Because I'm pretty sure Skarmory can't KO me without using a charge move, so I kind of force him to use a charge move here to take Melmetal out. And I bring in a Azumarill. So you'll see I make a mistake here. I want to try to catch a Sky Attack. Instead, I end up switching in and letting him get several fast moves off when I get nothing. So I was expecting him to throw Sky Attacks as soon as he got him, and he didn't. He decides to go Flash Cannon, which I think is a mistake in this matchup. But I'm able to get to a Hydro Pump here. It doesn't quite finish him off. And he gets to a charge move here. So I'm pretty sure this is going to KO me at this point. It's a Sky Attack. And it puts me at 1 HP. And I finish him off with a fast move. That was so intense. All three of those matches were really good. And we had really good battles. Man, I was pretty much shaking after that one. That was so close. Oh man. Anyway, let's go ahead and hop into the final round here. So at this point I'm 3-1 and I'm facing David's Toledo here. He's currently 4-0. He's gone undefeated thus far in the tournament. And since I'm the highest ranked player in this tournament, I have the opportunity to beat him and to force like a several way tie for first place. So he's bringing Venusaur, Haunter, Swampert, Skarmory, Azumarill, Medicham. So again, the Swampert Azumarill that I really do not want to play against. But we'll see what he brings. So we're going to go ahead and jump into the first matchup here. I lead Skarmory, he leads Venusaur. Really good start for me here. And he switches out to Skarmory. And I've got Melmetal ready in the back here. I don't need to block a single thing Skarmory's going to throw at me here. So I was thinking about shield baiting, but I decided just to go for Thunderbolts here. He does block it, but it's okay. Not a big deal. Still a really good matchup for me. He does throw the Flash Cannon. I'm not sure which one is better, actually. So you can see him lagging here. So I kind of stopped and waited for him. I see him attack a couple times here and throw a Rock Slide. And he does not block. He's still lagging a little bit, but he's able to get the charge move off. I am going to block it. I'm going to try to finish him off with just fast moves here, and I am able to. That was probably really close. I go ahead and throw a Thunderbolt. Not the right move in this situation, but I didn't know what he was going to bring, and I was scared it was going to be Medicham or something, and I would die fast. But I have a good matchup in Skarmory here. I know I don't need to block anything that Venusaur is going to throw. That's Sludge Bomb, which is good for me because that's probably the wrong move. And I've got a lot of energy for this Swampert, so I throw the Sky Attack and do a lot of damage. I immediately get to another one. He's probably going to block this because he really needs this Swampert to live. So that's both shields down. I'm not entirely sure how much energy he has, but I do decide to block. Hoping I can get to a Sky Attack before he gets to another Hydro Cannon, and I am able to do that. So we finish him off there. And last is Venusaur, and I'm not Even if I had shields, I probably wouldn't shield that. And it does about half of what HP I had left. I asked him after the match if he was lagging, and he said it wouldn't have mattered because I started off with a really good lead and had counters for his Pokemon, so we decided not to redo that one. So we're going to jump into game number 2 here. I'm going to lead Azumarill, Skarmory, and Melmetal in the back. We lead Azumarill and he leads Swampert. This is the best Pokemon I could have brought besides Medicham into Swampert, so I decided to stay in with this matchup here. So I'm thinking this is Hydro Cannon, so I decided not to shield, and it is. I went for a sort of shield bait here and faking the Hydro Pump, going for Ice Beam. Ice Beam isn't too bad either to throw against Swampert, so it does an okay amount. And I thought this was a Hydro Cannon as well, but Mudshot charges so dang quickly, so this is an Earthquake, which is not great. So I throw the Ice Beam, and he's either going to have to shield or let go of the Swampert. And he does decide to shield there. And this is tough. I know it's a Hydro Cannon, and it's possible I can feint him down using just fast moves. And oh man, I barely, 1 HP, barely am able to do it. That was quite risky to try to do that, but he brings in Skarmory, and I throw off an Ice Beam, which won't do a whole lot, but it's damage. So we're tight on shields. I've got a good matchup here with Melmetal. I don't need to block anything. Let's see if he switches. He does not. So I build up to a Thunderbolt and go for Rock Slide. See if he blocks. He does, which is great for me. And he brings in Medicham. He doesn't have any shields left, so I go ahead and bring in Skarmory. I know I just need 1 Sky Attack here to finish him off. I don't need to block the first Power-Up Punch, because it won't do a whole lot of damage. But it's an Ice Punch. I think that was a mistake for him to throw Ice Punch there. But we get the Sky Attack off here. Finishes off the Medicham. I'm not going to block this. There's no point. And I know he needs to fire off another charge move unless he wants to take one from me. And he tries to farm me down, but I get to another Sky Attack here. And he threw a charge move here. I think he was tapping on it at the same time, so it just registered after my charge move went off, but he definitely should not have thrown a charge move there. I don't think it would have mattered, because I had 1 shield plus Sky Attack wouldn't do that much against Melmetal. And we're able to take the final round. So the tournament's not quite over yet, but there's going to be like a 5 or 6 way tie for first, with a lot of people going 4-1. So after that first round, where I lost pretty convincingly to someone that I had never played against and wasn't that high ranked, was a little disappointing, actually quite a bit disappointing. And I was pretty down about that, but I kept my head level, and really thought about the strategy that I wanted to bring with every match, and was able to fight through the odds and come back and make a tie for first. So even if you lose the first round of a tournament like I did, there's still a good chance you can come back. You just have to focus and really play your heart out and know the matchups well, and make the right decisions. So yeah, that was my Mirror Cup tournament that will be concluded soon. Hope you enjoyed. Sorry it's been a while since I've uploaded, but yeah, I'm sorry this video is so long. Quite a few rounds, but let me know if you liked the video. If you want to see more tournament coverage of my matchups like this. And yeah, I will see you guys later.